He was just a tired server on a distant world, unnoticed and forgotten, until one small act of kindness placed him in the center of a battle that would decide the future of an entire planet. Danger, betrayal, and destiny collided the moment he chose compassion over silence, and nothing in his life would ever be the same. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video and tell us where are you watching from. Now, let's jump into the story. Jonas Merrick wiped the counter of the Silvercrest Lounge for what felt like the 100th time that night. His arms moved with practiced rhythm, but his mind was far away. The Silvercrest was the busiest tavern on Thrivos Prime, a wealthy alien world known for its glowing skies and endless trade routes. To Jonas, though, it was just another place where he worked long shifts and endured endless demands from customers who barely noticed him. He had dreamed of adventure when he left Earth. He imagined discovering new planets, meeting fascinating people, and making a name for himself among the stars. Instead, he found himself carrying trays of drinks to beings who thought of humans as little more than servants. The Silvercrest was filled each night with merchants, traders, and soldiers from across the galaxy. Their strange voices and loud laughter filled the air. Their coin kept the lights on. Jonas's job was to keep their glasses full. As he scrubbed the counter, a tall alien slammed down his clawed hand, rattling the empty mugs. "More ale, human," the creature barked, his tone sharp and dismissive. Jonas forced a smile, the same empty smile he had perfected in his 6 months of working here. "Right away, sir." He moved quickly, pouring the drink that smelled of smoke and iron, and set it down without comment. He caught sight of himself in the polished steel behind the bar. His short brown hair was messy from the heat. His gray eyes looked tired. He wondered if anyone in the room even saw him as a person. To most, he was invisible. To others, he was just a tool. Then the heavy doors of the lounge opened. The loud chatter dipped slightly as 3 small figures stepped inside. They were children, no more than 8 or 9 in human years. Their pale blue skin seemed to shine softly under the dim lamps. Their hair shimmered like strands of silver light. Jonas immediately noticed their delicate faces and wide, glowing eyes, filled with both wonder and nervousness. The tallest of the children approached the counter. She had to stand on her toes to see him properly. Her voice was small but clear. "Sir, may we please have something to eat?" Jonas leaned forward. "Where are your parents?" "Our mother will come soon," the girl said earnestly. "We were told to wait." "But my sisters are hungry." She held out a tiny cloth pouch. When she poured it onto the counter, only a few coins clinked out. It was not enough for even the cheapest drink on the menu. The room grew quieter. Jonas could feel eyes watching. A group of traders snickered nearby. The tall alien who had shouted earlier shook his head in disgust. Jonas knew what they expected him to do. Send the children away. Tell them this was no place for them. But something stirred in Jonas. He remembered the empty days back on Earth, the hopelessness of trying to survive when no one cared. He felt that same hopelessness in the children's eyes. He smiled gently. "How about some spiral fritters?" he suggested, naming a sweet dish popular among youngsters. "On the house." The smallest child gasped softly. "Really?" "Really," Jonas said, already turning to the kitchen. Inside, the cook raised his brow when Jonas placed the order. "You know the owner will take that out of your pay." "Worth it," Jonas replied. He carried the steaming plate back out and placed it in front of the 3 children, who had chosen a small table near the window. Their faces lit up with such joy that Jonas felt warmth in his chest. They whispered thanks in their melodic voices as they carefully picked up the food. Jonas gave them a genuine smile, one he had not felt in weeks. He was halfway back to the counter when the lounge doors opened again. Silence swept across the room. A woman entered. She moved with calm grace, her presence demanding attention. Her violet-blue skin shimmered faintly. Her silver-white hair framed a face of such striking symmetry, it seemed almost unreal. She wore a flowing garment embroidered with threads that caught the light like stars. Her eyes swept the room until they landed on the three children. Relief softened her features. Then her gaze shifted to Jonas. Her eyes were deep blue, sharp and intelligent. "Mother," the eldest child cried, waving. The woman approached swiftly. "I told you to wait outside," she said, her voice musical but firm. "We were hungry," the child explained. "This human gave us food." The woman's gaze fixed on Jonas. "Did you now?" Jonas felt his face grow warm. "They had no credits, ma'am. I could not let them go hungry." "Kindness is never nothing," she said softly, as if speaking more to herself than to him. She extended a graceful hand. "I am Lady Serenia Kale." Jonas took her hand. "Jonas Merrick." She studied him for a long moment. Then she reached into a small pouch and withdrew a crystalline card. She placed it on the counter in front of him. "I find myself in need of staff at my estate. Perhaps someone with your heart and courage may be more suited than most." Jonas looked at the card, the letters shining faintly in the dim light. He felt the stares of the other patrons pressing down on him, their contempt and curiosity mixing. "It was only a meal," Jonas said quietly. "Sometimes," Lady Serenia replied with a small smile, "a meal can change everything." With that, she gathered her daughters and guided them out of the lounge, leaving only the faint trace of her presence behind. Jonas stared at the card in his hand. For the first time in months, he felt something he had almost fought. Jonas Merrick sat in his small rented room above the bustling streets of Thrivos Prime. The crystalline card from Lady Serenia Kale rested on the table before him, glowing faintly under the low lamplight. He had turned it over in his hands countless times during the past 3 nights, wondering what it might mean for him. He had never been given an opportunity like this. Most humans on Thrivos were laborers or servers, and many never rose above that. The idea that someone as powerful as Lady Serenia would notice him, let alone offer him work in her household, felt unreal. Yet the memory of her piercing blue eyes and the gratitude in her voice would not leave his mind. Jonas leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling. The tavern had drained him of joy long ago. The endless hours, the insults from patrons, the feeling of being invisible. He thought of the children's smiles when he had placed food before them. He thought of how that small act had shifted something inside him. At last, with his heart pounding, he touched the edge of the crystalline card. It came alive instantly, projecting a soft holographic glow. A voice spoke clearly. "Jonas Merrick, shall I connect you with Lady Serenia Kale?" His throat tightened, but he forced himself to answer. "Yes." Moments later, her image appeared in the air above the card. She looked exactly as she had in the tavern, calm yet powerful, her eyes focused on him with a mixture of curiosity and warmth. "I wondered when you would decide," she said. "I wanted to be sure," Jonas admitted. "I am only a server. I have nothing special to offer." Her lips curved slightly. "You have already offered more than most by showing compassion. That is rare here." "If the position is still open," Jonas said carefully, "I would like to accept." "Good," Serenia replied. "My transport will collect you at dawn. Bring only what you need. Your life is about to change, Jonas Merrick." When the image faded, Jonas sat in silence, staring at the empty air. He could hardly believe the path he had chosen. For the first time in years, his chest felt lighter, as if a door had opened he never knew existed. The following morning, a sleek silver transport arrived outside his building. Neighbors peered from their windows as Jonas stepped inside, his single bag slung over his shoulder. The craft lifted smoothly into the skies, carrying him away from the crowded streets and into open air. The estate of Lady Serenia stood on a cliff that overlooked the violet seas of Thrivos. Towering spires and flowing structures blended with glowing gardens. It was more beautiful than anything Jonas had ever seen. As the transport settled, uniformed attendants approached, greeting him politely, but with curious eyes. Serenia herself appeared at the entrance, her children peeking shyly from behind her. "Welcome, Jonas," she said. "This is your new beginning." Over the next few days, Jonas learned his duties. He was not a servant in the usual sense. Serenia explained she needed someone trustworthy to assist with both household matters and more personal responsibilities. Jonas helped with the children, managed simple tasks, and even accompanied her to local gatherings. Though the estate was grand, he noticed unease among some of the staff. Whispers followed him in the corridors. A human among them was unusual, and not everyone approved. Yet the children warmed to him quickly, laughing as he joined their games, and Serenia treated him with a respect he had never known before. One evening, as the suns of Thrivos set over the sea, Jonas stood on a balcony outside his quarters. The air was cool, carrying the scent of the gardens. For the first time, he allowed himself to believe he might belong here. But peace rarely lasts. On the fourth night, the estate's calm was shattered. Jonas had just finished escorting the children back to their chambers when a thunderous crash echoed through the halls. Shouts filled the air. The walls shook as alarms blared. Masked intruders stormed into the estate, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. "Nobody move!" one shouted, his voice distorted. "Where are the children?" Jonas froze, his heart pounding. He could see the fear in the children's eyes. Instinct surged through him. He pulled them behind him, positioning his body as a shield. The intruders advanced, scanning the room with cold intent. One pointed a weapon directly at Jonas. "Move aside, human. They are not yours to protect." Jonas felt fear grip him, but stronger than fear was determination. "They are not yours to harm," he said firmly. A blast struck the wall near him, spraying sparks. The children whimpered, clutching at his shirt. Jonas grabbed the nearest object, a heavy vase, and hurled it at the attacker. It shattered, forcing the intruder to step back. Chaos erupted. Guards rushed into the hall, clashing with the masked figures. Jonas guided the children toward cover, taking hits and shoves, but never letting go of them. One attacker lunged, and Jonas met him head-on, struggling fiercely until help arrived. Then, through the smoke and noise, Lady Serenia appeared with her personal guard. Her voice carried power as she commanded, "Enough, stand down." Her presence filled the hall like a wave of strength. The intruders hesitated before retreating, vanishing into the night. When silence returned, Serenia's gaze found Jonas. She saw the blood on his shoulder, the children clinging to him, and the unyielding resolve in his eyes. "You protected them," she said softly. Jonas caught his breath, pain radiating through him. "I could not let them suffer." Her eyes lingered on him, filled with something deeper than gratitude. "Kindness brought you here," she whispered. "Courage may keep you here." Jonas realized then that his life had truly changed. He was no longer just a weary server. He was part of something greater, and the danger he had faced was only the beginning. Jonas Merrick woke in a soft chamber within the estate of Lady Serenia Kale. His shoulder still ached from the wound he had taken during the attack, though the healer's treatments had eased the pain. Sunlight streamed through tall crystal windows, filling the room with a golden glow. It should have felt safe, but the memory of masked intruders breaking into the estate stayed fresh in his mind. After breakfast, Serenia invited him into a quiet hall overlooking the violet sea. The children played at a distance under the watch of attendants, their laughter soft but strained after the night's terror. Jonas noticed the tension in Serenia's expression. Her usually calm face was shadowed by worry. She spoke at last. "You deserve to know why danger has followed us. What you witnessed was no robbery. It was an attempt to send me a message." Jonas leaned forward. "They were after your children. Why? What could they want with them?" Serenia's gaze moved to the horizon. "I am what my people call a luminary. It is a position of political power and responsibility. For years, I have fought for closer ties between humans and my people. I believe our futures are linked. But not everyone agrees. There is a faction here called the Purists. They believe our society must remain untouched, that humans are a threat to our way of life." Jonas felt the weight of her words. He had seen the sneers in the tavern, the dismissive looks when humans were mentioned. So the intruders worked for them. "Yes," Serenia said. "They want to frighten me into abandoning my cause. They think attacking my children will break me." Jonas's jaw tightened. "They are cowards, and they are wrong." Serenia turned to face him, her eyes sharp and searching. "You speak boldly for a man who claims to be only a server." Jonas shook his head. "I may be a server, but I know what it means to protect someone who cannot fight back. I will not stand by while children are threatened." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "That courage is exactly what they fear. They expect humans to bow their heads. Instead, you stood tall." As the days passed, Jonas became more aware of the undercurrents swirling through the estate. The guards doubled their patrols. Whispers of betrayal traveled among the staff. Serenia herself moved with greater caution, holding long meetings behind closed doors. One evening, she asked Jonas to accompany her to the council chambers in the city. It was the first time he had left the estate since the attack. The city of Thrivos Prime was dazzling, with towering structures shaped from living crystal and glowing bridges that stretched between them. But beneath the beauty lay tension. Eyes followed Jonas as he walked at Serenia's side. Whispers rose and fell as people noticed a human in her company. Inside the council chamber, the atmosphere was even heavier. 7 high platforms surrounded the room, each holding a council member. Their robes shimmered with colors of authority. As Serenia entered, voices rose in argument. "You endanger us all by bringing humans into our affairs," one counselor accused. "You invite chaos by pretending they deserve equality," said another. Serenia stood tall. "What endangers us is hatred. What weakens us is fear. Humanity brings strength we lack, adaptability, resilience, compassion." Murmurs swept the room. Jonas felt every eye turn to him. He wanted to disappear, but Serenia reached for his hand, steadying him. The council leader, an elder with deep violet skin, raised his hand for silence. "This human, what role does he play in these events?" Serenia answered firmly. "He protected my children with his own life, twice. His kindness first and his courage next. He is living proof of what humanity can offer our people." The elder's gaze fixed on Jonas. "And what do you say, human? What do you claim for yourself?" Jonas swallowed hard, then stepped forward. His voice trembled at first, but grew steadier. I did not come here to be part of politics. I came here to work, to survive. But when I saw children in danger, I could not ignore it. It's humans may be ordinary in your eyes, but what makes us strong is that we act when it matters most. We choose kindness when others turn away. We protect when others look the other way. That is who we are. A silence followed his words, thick with thought. Some faces showed doubt, others curiosity, and a few even respect. Serenia squeezed his hand again, her voice low but clear. You have done more than you know, Jonas. Your act of compassion has become a symbol. The purists hope to prove humans weak. Instead, you have shown strength they cannot deny. Later that night, back at the estate, Jonas sat alone on the balcony. The stars above shimmered like countless watchful eyes. His thoughts raced. He had not wanted this path, yet he felt drawn deeper with each step. He was no longer just a weary server. He was becoming part of a struggle that could change the future of two worlds. Serenia joined him quietly, her presence bringing calm. Today you stood before the council and spoke as if you belonged there, she said. I only told the truth, Jonas replied. Truth, she murmured, is the most dangerous weapon of all, and you wielded it without fear. She placed a hand on his shoulder. You should know, Jonas, that from this moment on, nothing will ever be the same. The purists will not stop, but neither will I. And I believe the universe brought you here for a reason. Jonas looked at her, at the determination in her eyes, and felt a quiet certainty grow within him. He had stepped into a story larger than himself. Kindness had led him here. Courage would carry him forward. In that moment, the truth was clear. His destiny was no longer his alone. It was tied to Serenia, to her children, and to the future of Thrivos Prime. The council chamber of Thrivos Prime was vast and filled with echoes of history. Soaring walls of crystal arched overhead, glowing faintly with shifting colors that seemed to pulse with the mood of the room. Jonas Merrick walked beside Lady Serenia Kale, his steps heavy with the weight of the moment. He had never imagined he would be here, standing in the most powerful place on the planet, watched by eyes both hostile and curious. The attack on the estate had shaken the city. Whispers of betrayal, purist involvement, and human danger spread like fire through the streets. The council had called for an emergency session. 7 high seats circled the center, occupied by the luminaries who shaped the future of Thrivos. Their expressions were stern, their voices sharp as debate filled the chamber. Serenia led Jonas into the center of the chamber. Her children were safe at the estate under heavy guard, but their absence made her posture even more protective. Her chin lifted high. Jonas kept his eyes forward, though he felt the weight of judgment from every corner. Luminary Serenia, called an elder with skin the color of deep indigo. You bring a human into this chamber. This breaks every tradition we hold. Serenia stood tall. Tradition means nothing if it serves only fear. This man saved my daughters. He acted where others would not. His presence here is no threat. It is a reminder of what humanity offers us. Murmurs swept across the chamber. The elder's gaze turned to Jonas, sharp and suspicious. What do you say, human? Why should we believe you are not here to manipulate us? Jonas's throat tightened, but he forced himself to step forward. His voice carried steady and clear. I did not come here seeking power. I came to Thrivos Prime to survive. I was only a server in a tavern, forgotten by most. But when children were hungry, I gave them food. When masked men came to harm them, I stood in their way. I am no warrior. I am not trained for politics. I am simply human. But that is enough. Because humans act from the heart. We choose kindness when others choose silence. A silence followed his words. Some counselors exchanged doubtful looks, but others leaned forward, listening with new interest. Suddenly, one of the counselors rose, his robe heavy with gold threads. His voice was sharp with anger. Lies. This human is no savior. He is a tool, placed here by Serenia to advance her dangerous agenda. Before anyone could respond, the counselor pulled a concealed weapon from his robe. Gasps filled the chamber. His hand shook with fury as he leveled it toward Serenia. Jonas moved without thought. He stepped between the weapon and Serenia, shielding her with his body. For a moment, the chamber froze, the humming energy of the weapon filling the silence. Then, with a sudden spark, the weapon failed, sputtering into nothing. Guards surged forward, disarming the counselor and dragging him to the ground. His furious cries filled the air as he shouted about purity and betrayal. The chamber erupted with noise. Some shouted for his punishment. Others demanded caution. Serenia raised her hand, her voice steady and commanding. This is what hatred brings: violence, division, fear. But today you all saw the truth with your own eyes. This human chose to protect, not for reward, not for politics, but because it was right. Her words cut through the clamor. The council leader rose slowly, his expression thoughtful. Perhaps we have been blind. Perhaps this human's presence is not a danger, but a sign. Kindness and courage, shown in their simplest form, can change the course of history. I call for a vote on Serenia's proposal for human rights on Thrivus Prime. The chamber held its breath as each luminary gave their voice. One by one, hands lifted in agreement. The final count showed a clear majority. The legislation passed. For the first time in history, humans on Thrivus Prime would be recognized with dignity and rights. Serenia turned to Jonas, her eyes filled with pride. You have changed more than your own life today, she whispered. Jonas felt the truth of her words settle deep in his chest. He had come from nothing, yet his choice to act with kindness had placed him at the heart of change. When they returned to the estate that evening, the children ran to greet them, their laughter ringing with joy. The estate's guards saluted him now with respect rather than suspicion. Jonas looked out over the violet sea, the horizon glowing with the light of twin suns. Serenia joined him, standing close. You are no longer just a guest here, Jonas, she said softly. You are part of our future. Jonas looked at her, at the children playing nearby, and at the world that had once felt so cold and distant. He realized his destiny had been reshaped. He was no longer only a weary server from Earth. He had become a protector, a voice and a symbol of unity. The night deepened, and the stars shone brighter than ever. Jonas knew challenges would still come, but he no longer faced them alone. His life had been changed forever by one act of kindness, and now that kindness had lit the path for an entire world.